to your podcast, several.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And well, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a moment.
Okay.
So now
All
I
right.
just gotta remember what fucking episode this is.
It should be 33, right?
30. Oh, you know what? 33 comes out Monday.
Okay.
So this
Okay.
would be 34, I believe. So we're like
Okay.
I'm 1 week behind. Well, I'm 1 week ahead.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we'll kick this thing off. Beautiful people, welcome to episode 34. I say that to say this podcast, but it's not just me today. I'm joined by a special guest, Chris Williams of the Can You Relate podcast. Chris, say hello to the people.
Man, how y'all doing out there? Yo, big shout out to you, man. I definitely appreciate you for having me on your show. It's definitely a humbling experience. It's the first time I've ever been invited to be on someone's podcast. So I definitely appreciate that, man. Big fan from the heart.
I appreciate you joining me, man. Thank you. And that's actually the first thing I wanted to get into. As a fellow podcaster, I love spreading love to other podcasters, because I see people, and it's not even just podcasting, but just networking with your peers. Because as when you first get into this thing, you want to reach for the stars, and you want those big names, or you want some celebrity or whoever you look up to come on your podcast. But I actually think it's important to look left to right instead of and look who's doing the same thing with you.
Agreed.
And I think I saw you. I think I passed by you on Instagram, or I forget where I saw your podcast. I believe it was Instagram. One of those hashtags or something, or however we just
right. Okay.
And then and obviously following each other and going back and forth. And I was checking out your podcast today earlier, and you said something that it was very interesting to me when you talked about getting a taste on your last podcast, and you said you were very strong about Patron bashing, and you said.
Okay.
Not a taste of any trash Patron, but getting a taste of life and getting a taste of just experiencing new things. And at first, when I'm not gonna say it went over my head, but at first, like you mentioned it, and then when you circle back around to it, I was like, damn, that's a pretty good point. When you say you mentioned someone saying like, oh, that's not for me.
Right.
And once you said that, I was like, wow, very true. So what made you want to get a taste? And what made you, what was it that pushed you to want to start your own podcast and do your own thing?
All right. So let me answer your question first, and then we could definitely touch on what I meant by that when I said getting a taste of greatness. You know what I'm saying?
If you haven't noticed, I like to ask 18 questions at once. So my bad. If I'm moving fast.
You know what, man? I can definitely follow along. I'm with you. I got you. I work the same way. But what made me want to pretty much to start my own podcast was, I was just feeling unfulfilled pretty much basically in life. I have been saying for the longest that I was like, man, I'm going to go ahead and start my podcast. I'm going to start my podcast. Just one of those people that just talk a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm tough on myself. Sure. So I realized that I was just I was almost just talking a lot of crap, but I wasn't following it up. And because I started tapping into, just self-assessing, just really feeling unfulfilled, I just at the end of the day, I'm tired of talking. I'm about to really go start this, At first, the basis of my show was going to be, I was going to talk about sports, entertainment, a lot of the things that sells almost. So, I was going to be talking about that. But once I just started getting on the microphone, this kind of just shifted into this whole trying to enlighten people, motivate people, especially that come from the walk of life. Just trying to enlighten everyone, push everyone. I'm we get enough entertainment, our phones and, television and everything that goes on in social media. We get enough entertainment all day. I don't want to add to that. I'm big on trying to add value. So, it just kind of just morphed into this whole just challenging people, as I go on my journey, trying to better myself in every area, just been on there and relating my story. Hence, can you relate? That's how it came about, man.
And I could definitely relate to that. That's crazy. And I think Mine was pretty much the same thing. I had this whole plan of having like a little fantasy football 5 minutes and doing all this. And then I happened to be boycotting the NFL this year, which is, whatever it is at this point. But that's another story.
Okay.
But then when I wasn't watching the NFL, it kind of just happened. It kind of just moved into me. When I was following, I was putting off this podcast for 5 years, which is a hell of a long time. So I happened to see an old tweet. I was going into my time hop, and I saw a tweet from 2012, and I was like, I said in 2012, I was like, I want to start my own podcast. And I was like, damn. And that was February this year. And I knew, like, all right, I can't wait any longer. So by the time, this was like way before anything with the NFL. So by the time it just got going, it just happened naturally. It just happened. I don't know. I just got here talking shit. And then it was like motivating for me to hear other people, to hear other people like, wow, it really made me want to start my own or whatever they wanted to do. So that's why I say I could definitely relate to what happened with that.
There it is. Yeah, man. It was, like for me, it was just that feeling like at some point, I just firmly believe like you really have to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself like, am I even attempting to achieve all the things that I want to achieve? So, I found out a lot of my answers were no. And just to touch on like the podcast I did with the Taste of Greatness, it was just like I said, I done partied, I done kicked it, I've done all of that. You know what I'm saying? At some point, we got to just start trying to taste something different, which is greatness. See what greatness feels like. See what it feels like to, try to better yourself, and then in return on your investment, who knows what type of incredible opportunities you can spread abroad to other people. So that's what that was about. Like, I done have a Patron and all that. Still definitely not saying that I won't have your shot. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying instead of that being the primary focus,
sure.
You know what I'm saying? Let that be more of a celebratory type of deal versus it's the Friday night. I ain't got nothing to do. I'm gonna get up with my guys type of deal.
And I agree with that 110%, honestly. Do you feel like your friends, and since you got on this kick to just better yourself, do you feel like your friends and family understand? Do you feel like they're looking at you like, and kind of writing you off? That says everything.
You know what, man? Honestly, bro.
I don't know.
You know what? Honestly, bro, to be brutally honest with you, when you start on this journey of like, personal development, you hear this a lot. You hear how you're going to like lose friends, how you're going to lose family, and you always think like, damn, is it really that deep? But it is really that deep for real. Like, when you just start I'm telling you, when your Friday and your Saturday night change, man, so many people don't feel that, and they make it about them, and they take offense to it. And yeah, I've definitely felt like my family, like they support me, but I have to be brutally honest. They support me from afar, but I understand that I have to not prove anything to them in a sense. But when I prove that I can be successful to myself, I'll be sending a strong message to them, and they'll understand that I wasn't just talking shit. I just wasn't running my mouth. Like, these are real results that happen. So yeah, I'm definitely feeling some backlash about it. How about you, man?
And it's crazy. See, when you asked me what day I record, I was like Friday or Saturday night. And normally, like when I even first started the podcast, I would try to work around it. I try to record on a Thursday or a Tuesday because I didn't know if I was going to be playing poker on Friday nights or going to have some drinks. And then suddenly that turn came where I'm like, you know what? Instead of going out, I know exactly what I want to do on a Friday night at 9:00. And this is this. And I don't really talk. It's not necessarily that they didn't believe in me or gave up on me, but it may even be me. I just distanced myself because this is what I want to do. And this is really where I want to invest my time and my energy. And going out to have some drinks, like you said, I'm almost 30 years old. I've done that 1,000 times. And I never woke up on Saturday morning feeling any better. I never woke up on Saturday morning feeling like I crushed my goals. But when I do this,
right.
sure, when I do this and we record or do whatever I'm doing, I wake up on Saturday morning and I listen back and it feels good. I feel like, all right, I got something accomplished and I made a step in the right direction. So I feel like my wife is actually here right now, sitting in on this episode, but she knows, like she supports me 110%, and that's really what I try to keep close to me. I try to keep the support around me, and the naysayers, which happens. It happened with my best friend.
Right.
We just don't. We don't even speak anymore. So if that's the way it's gonna be,
your best friend.
If chasing your goals has to leave people in the past, then so be it. Because you only get one shot at this thing.
Right. And see that's the thing for me as well. I definitely have the support of like my immediate family, like, my children, my lady. Like, I definitely have the support of them 1,000%. It's like whatever I'm trying to do, they got me. My nearest and dearest friends, they got me. But it's just like, the homeboys where we used to, be linking up on a Friday night, going out, or, like my friends or my siblings, like, people like that, they kind of just turned off, man. It's kind of like, I haven't heard from a lot of them. So, but the main focus to me is just to keep going. I have a why, and that why is near and dear to me. I love them dearly, my family. And it's just to make sure that they have every possible opportunity there is. So, and I know that, I take full responsibility in going out and getting that. And that's just pretty much what it boils down to. So, in the beginning, it was tough because, you've been doing something, you've been kicking it. You know how I go, man. You've been kicking it for so long. Now you're trying to do this. Now you're going left. The gratification I feel, like you said, when I wake up and I listen back to my own podcast, far outweighs any type of clubbing I've ever done. So,
110%.
I just wish that they can. Right. Come on now, you know where I'm coming from.
110%.
Definitely know where I'm coming from.
And I don't feel like I have 3 microphones here, and I only use one at a time. And I got all this shit around, all these gadgets. And I actually don't feel like I'm wasting money. I know if these were empty bottles of Ciroc or Douce or whatever it was, I would be looking at it like, damn, what the fuck was I doing with my money?
Right.
But when I look at something like building our brand and our craft, I feel so much better about it. So that's 110%.
Man, I'm telling you, I've had plenty of hangovers, man. It's nothing compared to waking up like this, bro. Trust me. For real.
So I noticed that there's a lot of gaps in your podcast, and I have the same problem. If you look at my first episode was March 23rd. The second one was like 2 weeks after. The third one was like a month after that. Then it was 8 weeks, nothing. And then I dropped 3 in one day. Right. So no, go ahead.
No. I was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was very hard for me, but I think that's what it was. I think during that time I was trying to balance everything, and I was still trying to. Still trying to do things out of more routine than because it made me happy. And now I know, where I am now, if you look at my past couple of weeks, I know exactly, listen, this episode is getting out on Monday. If I have to stay up for 46 hours, I have to get this done because this is, and it's not, I mean, I made it sound like a chore just now, but it's like, all the shit in my regular life, that has to get done because I'll say it that way because I need to record this episode. Do you find it hard to just sit down and get it done?
Well, just to touch on my situation and everything. So I don't have the studio or anywhere that I can go.
Sure.
It's just always trying to find. I still consider myself at ground level. Even though I've been doing Can You Relate for 2 years, I still consider myself at ground level. Well, not now. I mean, hell, I've been asked to be on my man podcast. So I must not be at ground
moving
level.
on up.
Moving on up, baby. Yeah, but it's just trying to maneuver. So I'm still in that grinded out phase right now. And then plus, a lot of that, I like to record my podcast when something hits me heavy. Or when something really pushes me, or I feel it, I like to get it done. So I record a podcast anyway. It doesn't matter because I don't have the luxury of I have this set place where I can go. I have this studio where I can go. I don't have that. Like I told you earlier, I have a family, 3 kids. Shit, I'm trying to find whatever second I can get, So yeah, so it definitely goes into that. But as far as like getting it hard to get, I wouldn't say it's hard. I would just say that it's a challenge. I wouldn't say that it's hard, but it's definitely a challenge because, when you do get a moment, I don't know, do you have children?
Oh yeah, I have a son. He doesn't live with me though, so I guess that
okay,
helps.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Well, yeah, but man, so you have these, you already know, but even then he might not live with you, but you know how it is when you have your son. That's a constant deal. That's a 24/7 job. And so,
and he doesn't live with me, so I gotta leave the house to see him. So I guess it's relatively
right. So it's a 24/7 job. So, when I do get a moment, I try to get it in. So, like I said, just trying to be creative, man. Wherever you can record. I record a podcast in my car. I've done that several times, whether I'm in the house, I have a moment, no one's home, or shit, if I got to go up to a school, it doesn't matter. When that message hit me, I try to like move and like really get it out. I definitely pulled some all-nighters. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just a challenge like so many people face. I'm sure you face challenges.
Sure. And what you said, I think, is the most important part, that you make the time. And I've done it also. I think episode 7, I believe, of my podcast, I recorded with my voice notes on my iPhone just because I knew, like,
wow,
I'm going to have. And I had to edit it and, like, I had to record it in sections. And I remember I emailed them all to myself, stitched them up, and put it out. And the sound quality, and I mentioned it in the podcast, the sound quality was fucking terrible, but I felt good. Like, you know what? At least I got it out.
Right. You know what? That doesn't matter at all. Let me ask you this. In the beginning, when you first started recording your podcast, did you ever find yourself like trying to be perfect almost?
See, that's one thing I've accepted about myself. A long time ago, I knew, like, I have to operate that way. I have to just record and push it out and don't even think about it. I have to listen to my podcast. Like, I upload it and then I listen to it in iTunes like everybody else, because I know that if I had it my way, searching for perfection, it would never get out. Because I'm always looking for everything to always flow. And that's actually, it's a point I want to bring up that I guess we could get into. It's like translating or bringing things from your brain to the microphone. That is it's not hard for me, but like you just said, I want it to be so perfect that it makes it, sometimes I can't even listen to myself.
Right.
So it's not that, I don't know, like I want to say I want it to be perfect, but I just accept that it's going to be what it is.
Right. See, and the reason why I asked you that, because in the very beginning, when I first started recording, man, I was trying to be perfect, bruh. I kid you not. I was trying to be like a master in the very beginning. And I was, like now my podcast, if I listen to a podcast that I did so long ago versus now, it's night and day. I said before, like, you don't have to be perfect to get into the Hall of Fame. And so that's something that I had to push into myself, like, yo, just do you, be you. You know what I'm saying? Some people will love it, some people may not. It's all good, but it's that action. Like, okay, I don't have to be perfect to try to come off and appeal to some people. It's fans for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's fans for everyone. And so once I came to the realization of that, that's when I just feel like I just like really start finding my lane, just start finding my niche, like what works for me, like who I am and everything. So I just wanted to get your point of view, like what you think as far as like being perfect. Were you ever trying to be perfect when you first started recording?
And I think I actually mentioned it in my early podcast. I said, like, yo, I'm going to be the 21 Savage of podcasts. I'm just going to come out. I'm going to say whatever. And listen, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, I guess it wasn't for you. But most important, and I bet I'm sure you can relate, most important is, like, as long as I'm happy with it, I really don't care who listens or who doesn't like me, and we're not A-list celebrities. It's not thousands of people under our in the comments on our Instagram. I'm sure if that was the case, it'd probably be a little more pressure. But right now, I'm like, all right, whatever.
You're absolutely right, man. But I just think that like what we're doing, we're just focused right now on just trying to add value, just trying to build a team, just trying to enlighten the people, just trying to, exercise our right to be our unique self.
Sure.
I feel like, so many mornings, so many days, so many years, bruh, people wake up every day and for 5 days they have to be someone that they're not. They have to put on this mask every day, and then 2 days they get to be who they want to be. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's just asshole backwards. So just what for me, especially like what my podcast allows me to do is just be me, and I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form. So I just, like I said, I came to the realization that it was go time. Then it was like let's move forward. Let's just do what we got to do.
Sure. And I agree with that. And do you ever feel like you're going to go crazy talking to yourself when you record?
Oh, man. Yeah, you know what, man? I have so, like, this vision, like, one day, like, I'm not about to be sitting up in this room talking to myself, People will demand to hear you speak, man. You're doing something incredible. You pushing people in a way. You're challenging people. You're probably challenging your wife. You're challenging your buddies. You're challenging them because you actually doing some shit. And so, think about who wants to be the person in the crew that was getting all F's and everybody on the honor roll. You feel what I'm saying? So
Sure.
You would make people step their game up too. And so, like, what we're doing is we're showing people like, hey, it doesn't matter what you do. Podcasts, you got hot dog stands, you're selling bootleg DVDs, whatever you do, just give it your all. Make it your own. You know what I'm saying? Kill it.
Sure.
That's it. And so, I'm proud of people like you and I, man, that's just willing to, like you said, you don't care what people think. You're going to record, you're going to put it out. Who like it, cool. Who don't, that's cool too. And that's the mentality you have to have if you really want to go somewhere.
I think that's when it's genuine, because I have people reach out to me on Twitter like, yo, man, I want to start a podcast. I tell them where to get the stuff. And there's a couple people, they've actually done it. And I'm like, wow, good for you. And like, yeah, I would have never done it if I didn't listen to your podcast. So when I hear things like that, I'm like, that makes it totally worth it to me, that even if they try and they don't like it, that's better. That's way better to me than them not trying at all. And that's really what I love about it. So you make a good point. Also when you said that people put on this mask for 5 days a week, and and the weekend comes and they feel like, I could be myself now. I don't want anybody to feel like that.
Whew. Come on, man. Come on,
I really don't. I don't want that. I don't want that for anybody, because I've done it. When I was, and my last job, but before that, like working in those settings where I feel like I can't be myself, I think it pushed me to a podcast or some sort of creative outlet, because I'm like, this is not, I feel bottled up. I feel it drives me crazy, but that's why that's why it's more fulfilling to tell people like, yo, listen, it's going to sound cliche, but really follow your fucking dreams.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's crazy? People think that shit is corny though.
That's why
it's corny, man.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I have to say, like, I know it's going to sound cliche, and it sucks saying it, but like you said, they think it's corny for some strange reason.
Right. Man, I always say, man, growing up in Chicago, I wish I did have somebody kicking game to me like that. I wish I did have somebody like, yo, this is what you can do. Just, stop being one track minded. Like, you can do so many different things. I wish I did have somebody kicking the game to me. I had to find that out for myself. And that just, that came from me just really being tapped into like, damn, I'm like feeling super unfulfilled,
Sure.
And so once I tapped into that, I'm like, man, I can do whatever and be whatever. It's crazy how, our generation, man, they think that shit corny. They think it's lame. They have no idea, like you said, how you feel waking up in the morning. You cannot describe it to them.
You can, and that's why I was labeling myself the internet OG, because like you said, I wish that somebody would have been like, yo, listen, college, whatever's for you is for you, but me personally, I wish someone was like, look, don't go to college because it's what everybody expects you to do. Try new things. You know, my dad wanted me to go to the Air Force because he just didn't want to fucking pay for college. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So what allows people like us is we can be that voice for somebody. And look at you. You're in Chicago. I'm here in New York. We can connect with people across the country, and it doesn't have to be just the kids in the neighborhood. Our outlet is literally endless. Like they'll be going to fucking Mars soon, and I'm sure we could FaceTime them. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we could FaceTime from there. So I think what we're doing is very important in showing people through actions and through our voice. And if they're listening in the car, or they're listening on the train, or if they're listening when they're cleaning up, chasing their kids around the house, I really hope you get out there and do what you do. And that's from me, and that's from Chris, because it really is. It's just a beautiful thing. And that doesn't mean that doesn't mean go become a rapper, or that doesn't mean go become a podcaster. No, it's not that. If you want to paint pictures, if you want to just work out, if you want to get down to the gym Monday, get up there and go. And don't let anybody stop you.
That's it right there. That's it. That at the end of the day, that sums it up right there. At the end of the day, that's all that I think that, like, you and I, you know, we're trying to get out there. We're trying to push people. Look, if you want to be my friend, don't be soft. Don't expect me not to challenge you. And I want you to I want you to be my accountability partner too. You got to just change the game. And it's right now, I feel it's not enough leaders. It's just like the blind leading the blind, you know, to just nowhere. And then we always, you know, so many of us, we look up and we wonder why, you know, we're so far behind, or we wonder why, you know, we're in the position that we're in. Shit, at the end of the day, a lot of this is self-inflicted. We wasted a lot of time. And that's because our circle of influence, man, is so important. Like you said, you didn't have anyone kicking game to you about college. I went to college and graduated.
Sure.
And I almost wish I did. I wish I would have took that time and put all of that into entrepreneurship, like for real. Like, because like you said, that's the truest thing for me. I went to college because it was required. I felt like that was the magic bullet almost that was going to bring me success, that was going to absolutely, positively give me success. And then look at what I thought was successful, bro. You know, just a nice house with a picket fence, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that was it.
We equate bills with success. We equate a fucking mortgage.
For real.
Success. And that's where I think we went wrong. You know,
bills in a way, yeah.
Hundreds of $1,000s in student loans, a mortgage, a car payment, and some shit you don't need. We're like, yeah, what the American dream.
Right, the American dream. Our status is on point. You know what I'm saying? Somebody get to talking crazy, we gotta let them know immediately. Like, I got my own crib, I got my own car, I got food on the table. You know that shit everybody be talking about. You know, but yeah, that was it, man. Come on now. That's foolishness, man. You know, just capping myself out like that. You kidding me, man? Sky's the limit. Sky is definitely the limit, bro.
And like you said, that when people are themselves on the weekends, I think everyone should be that, because there's only one you. And I know, like, look, I'm just who I am. I'm just one man in this big world. But I know, like, my voice may change your opinion. Like, my voice may change your mind. And if we all just put positive energy out there, and you say something positive to the person on your right, say something positive to the person on your left, we would be doing so much better than just like, I don't know, and pushing that doubt on each other. Because I would say to you, if you were like, yo, Bo, I want to start my own podcast, I would be like, Chris, bro, it's only one you. Do it. Even if you put out 25 episodes and call it quits, that shit is going to live on forever. So somebody, you know, like, I don't think look at these painters who they were just in the house painting thousands of pictures, and nobody cared until after they died. You know, those pictures didn't become valuable until after they died. When Michael Jean Basquiat, nobody cared. 1988, and all of a sudden everybody cared once he died. You know what I mean? So I think if this gift and this whatever we do can live on the internet and live on wherever the fuck it goes, I think you're welcome. Go push yourself and really do something. And they should. And if this inspires you, pass it on to somebody else.
Agreed, 1,000%.
Now, 1,000%. Growing up in Chicago, you said, right?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So you've been there, born and raised.
Yep.
So how is I heard you talk about on your last podcast, you went to Vegas and everyone was asking you like, oh, you here to party? Like, I know Vegas is known for what it's known for, but Chicago, I went there once. My uncle graduated the military. Is it Great Lakes or something like that? Chicago? I forget exactly where his boot camp was, but I know we took the train to Chicago, which was fucking terrible, but that was another story. But but Chicago now, like, is it different from when you were younger, or is it the same? Or because I don't know.
Oh no, hell no, man. It's the jungle. It's the jungle for real. And I'm talking about where my neighborhood, like the area that I grew up in. Now, Chicago as a whole, I think the city has flourished. I'm not going to bash the city as a whole. I definitely think the city has flourished in a lot of ways. And then some ways it's definitely taking some steps back like any other city. But the area that I'm from is definitely different, man. I'm a little older than some of the. I know you say you were born in what? You say you graduated in 2007, right? So I graduated.
I'm 29.
Okay, and I'm 34.
Okay.
So I graduated high school in 2002, and talking about how I made it out when I finally did move out of like the city and everything. It wasn't as bad as what it is now, man. I mean, it's just, it's absolutely insane. I'm from there, like born and raised, lived there the majority of my life, and I hate to drive even through the city, to go downtown and hang out. Oh man, man, they shooting people out on the expressway. You know what I'm saying? Man. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
And that's actually why I asked, because I was just thinking, I'm like, is it the internet? I'm like, has it always been this way? I don't when you're young, you don't really watch the news, but now becoming a man, you have kids, you get married, you really start to look at the world different. And I was just like, I was just like, well, what, like, where did it go wrong? What happened?
Man, it's the new generation. I'm not going to blame it on social media. I'm just going to say that, like, these people, they need to take full responsibility for how bad things have gotten. I'm not going to say, it's a lot of corruption going on, all of that stuff that any city deals with. New York, LA, LAPD, we know how that goes. Yeah. But it's the new generation, man. I mean, when I tell you that it's like guerrilla warfare. They running wild as, when we were growing up, even if people were in the game, man, they had some, regulations they had to go by. Now it's just like over here in Chicago, it's none of that. It's no more big homies. The big homies, shit, they sending the kids off even more. So it's just a guerrilla warfare deal going on out here, man. And that's where my message is so strong, because I'm like, I'm from that walk of life, and I don't have to adhere to be like that, or because I'm from that, or because I have a ton of family members that are in the streets like that. I don't have to be that. Still, with all of that stacked against me, I'm gonna choose to pursue excellence. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I just be feeling like podcasts like you and I, like it's a big deal. Yeah, but Chicago, man, when you visit, go downtown. Let me just say that. Stay downtown. Make sure you stay downtown, man. Enjoy Magnificent Mile. Get you some shopping in. You in the town.
Sure.
Have a good time. But once you start venturing through the city, man, so many innocent bystanders, for real. I mean, people just losing their lives for pointless reasons.
No, that's crazy. Especially you saying people getting shot on the expressway. Like, damn, you can't even drive around that's crazy.
Right. Exactly.
When I was in Los Angeles, I went through Compton, I went down Grape Street, and I was like, damn, years ago you couldn't have done this. And Chicago crossed my mind. I was like, if I was in Chicago, I don't know. It's crazy that in 2017 you can drive through the heart of fucking Compton, and you don't even want to drive through Chicago. Like I was just like, it's
isn't that right now in 2017? Because I did the same thing, bro. I did the same thing when I was in California. I'm like, I gotta see Compton, and I actually feel like growing up in Chicago, just that lack of fear of anything. Like for real, I think they gave me some courage. Like if I'm growing up in Chicago, I could slide through any hood.
Yeah, that's a fact. It's crazy. It's crazy that a Chicago dude and a New York dude said, "Yo, I gotta go through Compton."
Right, right, exactly.
I'm like, look, I've been to every borough. How bad could it be? You know what I mean? So,
right. Come on, you're not about to see anything, right? I actually was like, damn, some of these neighborhoods decent over here.
Yeah, wow. I said the same thing. I'm like, oh, all right, the houses is okay. They got gates on the windows, but they're
right.
They're nice homes.
Right.
Oh man, that's funny. But what do you think? What do you think can be done in Chicago? And it's not just Chicago. The country's fucked up. Well, it's people right here in New York, places that are very bad. But it's just the murder rate. Like that's what really gets me. I'm like, look, if people want to have guns, they're gonna do what they do. All right, I get it. If you want to shoot up in the woods and whatever you want to do, cool. But when you start shooting other people, I'm like, people from the same fucking neighborhoods, like, I don't know, like, that doesn't make much sense to me. Especially if you guys got to go to the same schools, you got to go to the same delis, you got your mom shop at the same grocery stores. Like, that just doesn't, that doesn't make sense. So what do you think could be done?
Wow, man. What a great question. Honestly, I don't even know what. I'm not going to say that I'm not hopeful because I'm always hopeful in every situation. Sure. So I'm not going to say that it's a hopeless situation. As far as like having an actual plan, man, it's going to take. It might take some serious. I know they were going to bring in like the National Guard at one point. Right. But they always playing with it. They always talking. This is what we're going to do if you guys don't clean up your act. And the more that they do that and not do anything, they losing credibility. So no one wants to hear that. And let's not get it twisted. It's a lot of freight trains that go through Chicago. Them guns are not. I mean, it's not just handguns, dog. They shooting military style machine guns. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? That's not people. You not just going into any gun store and just buying AKs and all of that. Come on now.
With 100-round drums.
Come on. The 30 clips and all that the shit that they rap about, I can't even keep up with it no more. Right? So like it's not just mysteriously just finding this way. You mean to tell me the only way to transport these guns, you have to finish this freight train through Chicago? Come on, let's be real. That's a joke, man. So the corruption has to stop first and foremost. Let's just call it is what it is. The corruption. There has to be someone that's going to come in there and clean up that corruption. Good luck with that. But other than that, then they need to bring in the National Guard, man. They need to get them together. They need to put something in order because right now it's just a free-for-all. You were saying like, man, they smoking homeboys they done went to school with, been in preschool with. There's no rules. There used to be a time where they didn't kill women and children. Oh, they killing kids. They killing women.
Damn.
You remember the days where there was some code of honor, like, even Sosa said in Scarface, like, I'm not killing no kids. You know what I'm saying?
No, word up. That's now, a fact. Oh, man. The worst of killers wouldn't have killed a kid. Like, hold on, man.
Exactly.
You got a wife and kids in there. We can't go. You know what I mean? But now, I don't know, man. I think it's just I don't know. I don't know what I think it is, but what I don't want to see is if the National Guard goes in and sweeps everybody up and just locks everybody away. I think that would set us back even worse. If you take a generation of fathers and uncles and cousins and just lock them up, their kids it's gonna be worse. They're gonna grow up with that mentality, and they're gonna be like, "Yo, they took my father away." Like, then it's really gonna be against the world. So I don't. I ask because I honestly don't even know what the solution would be, but that's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see because, like you said, if the corruption doesn't change,
They need like the kids are out all night. Let me tell you, bro. When I first moved from Chicago out into the suburbs, right? Finally made it out, got myself into a decent neighborhood. The biggest change that I had to get used to was how quiet it was.
Wow.
It was like almost like a deafening quiet, dog, because I'm used to in the city is non-stop all night. Don't let it be the summer. It's all night. The kids are out all night. They kicking it all night long. So when I finally moved away from that, I had to get used to it being super quiet at 7 p.m. No one out, summertime or not. So they got to get like a curfew in place. Like they just need some type of presence.
Sure.
Because the Chicago police just patrolling the neighborhood, that's not going to do anything. That's almost a joke to them. You feel what I'm saying? So they need some type of presence, like a real presence, to where not just saying like go in there, scoop everybody up, put them in, concentration camps or anything that. Hell no. But I'm saying like they need more of a presence out there. They do need to see that military out there. They do need to be, put something in place. I don't know. Look, a lot of them scared to go to the military. You start getting all these defenses, we're going to send you off to the military. Whatever you got to come up with creatively, that's not just going to just push people away and lock them up and throw away the key. Absolutely not. But they have to come up with something, man, to rectify that problem, because it's getting worse. And I have a front row seat and seeing it. What you guys might see on the news, even when I was in Cali, man, I was bugging how they were covering the Chicago killings in Los Angeles.
Right. Which is crazy.
So I was like, damn, like it's a real problem. You know what I'm saying?
And that, same here on the East Coast, on the other end. That shit started to outshine what happened right down the street in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. They talking about Chicago more, and I'm like, damn, Chicago must really be fucked up.
Wow, are you serious?
The same thing on this end. That's how I know. You put on the news, they don't even like it not outshine. I guess that's a bad term to use, but Philadelphia's murder rate is high also. In Philadelphia, they're talking about Chicago.
Holy cow! Man.
Seeing that, it's like, wow. Even both sides of the country is just looking in on this, and it's not getting any better. And I hate to blame rap music, but
come on now. Look, out here in Chicago, I'm gonna be real with you. It definitely had an impact, man, with that drill music.
That fucking drill music. That 3-year window music of Chief Keef and Fredo Santana and all that shit, and being in Chicago with video like YouTube when it first started bubbling and seeing 30 clips. I don't know what it did to people or what it did to these kids, but
it sent them off into a frenzy. I'm telling you, bro. It sent them off into a frenzy because by that time I had moved out of Chicago. But I was still attending church in Chicago.
Okay.
So I was still like working the summer camps and stuff like that. And man, it was all you heard was just kids acting like, Chief Keef and all them. And then that's when it all just started popping off. The killings, kids just started like they were just killing kids at a rapid rate. Because the shorties, it wouldn't be like adults killing the kids. It was like kids were getting guns. Now, and they wasn't just fighting it out no more, jumping no more or anything like that. Like they were actually getting guns and shooting each other up, man. Kids doing hits 13, 14, 12 years old. Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy.
Influenced by so some of them was, man. Some of them was influenced by that music during that era.
I was talking about this with a friend of mine. I actually think it was on the podcast. And I was saying that Chief Keef actually inspired a business idea for me. Like I just started another business, a mobile car wash. The first time I ever seen that shit was on Chief Keef's Instagram. And I know that's the craziest thing. But like I'm like, see, all the shoot 'em up, bang, bang shit he did, that doesn't interest me at all. I saw him, it was a guy spraying the foam on one of his cars. And I was like, wow. I'm like, damn, Chief Keef got somebody to come to his house to wash his car? I was like, that's fucking genius.
That's genius, bro.
And I think that if you're listening to this, people and kids in Chicago, like, listen, you got to look that shoot 'em up shit. We see where that gets you by now, and not even kids in Chicago, people everywhere. That gangster life, nothing bothers me more than hearing a rapper say, if it wasn't for music, I'd be dead or in jail. Like, no, bro, you had so many more fucking options. And I always bring that up because I hear it still. And I'm like, bro, stop telling these kids that. You could work at fucking Stop and Shop. You could do anything. You don't have to be dead or in jail for drugs and shooting guns. So, and then the same guy they look up to with the bang bang shit, I'm like, look, he inspired. Like I just looked at it and was like, well, we don't have that here. That's a great idea. I'm gonna get on that. I think that's what people have to gear more towards. Like, okay, what am I gonna learn from this? You know, even if you see someone go to jail, that teaches me what not the fuck to do. Not okay, I'm gonna go down the same road and go to jail. Like, there's nothing for me there. So I think people need to start gearing more towards like the rappers. Well, not even, you know what? I think also, I'm going to pause myself before I go shift blame. I could say that what we could do is like people like me and you, the podcasters, instead of talking about, you know, I mean, because I do it because it just comes up. But instead of talking about, you know, Meek Mill getting sentenced to however many years for probation violation, like we got to really start looking and really going to find the turkey giveaways. We got to go find the toy drive giveaways, and we got to gear more towards that. Like, well, today Chance the Rapper gave away X amount of dollars, or Gucci Mane gave away however many scholarships. Like, I think if we even just throw a little bit out there more and share more positive things, like hopefully people will catch on. And if they don't, I know I'd feel better about it. Like, I may feel bad about it because I think I don't know what to do, but I guess if I'm going to tweet all fucking day, I could at least throw some articles out there and give people something positive to read on. So I think we could definitely start and stepping in the right direction.
Yeah, man. And you know what, just to touch on a little bit of what you said, like how you came up with that brilliant idea, right? For the mobile car wash, because you was looking at Chief Keef's like, damn. That's the difference between you and someone else. Someone else, they just gonna hit that like button, bro, and keep it moving. Like, damn, did you see Chief Keef? Yes, such and such car wash. You looked at it like that's genius. The reason why is because of what you're doing now. It allows you to be aware, man. And when you are aware, dog, you don't miss anything. You don't miss opportunities. Your antennas are always up. You're not just being robotic. You feel what I'm saying? On a day-to-day basis. When you practice like personal development, you want to just elevate your game, whatever it is that you're doing in life, you just want to get better. You want to reach a level of mastery. You find awareness, and to be aware is to be alive, man. You're not just skating through life. Every year you're looking up like, damn, that year flew by. Damn, that year flew by. Damn, that year flew by. And you can't even account for what you were doing for the majority of the year. So how many opportunities have other people missed scrolling on Instagram all day, scrolling on Facebook all day, just being nosy? And here it is, someone like you set an example of, I can start a business by doing the exact same thing you guys doing, but because I am aware, it allows me to see opportunity. Chief Keef got somebody coming to his house watching the car. We don't got that out here. Let me jump on that. And then you take action and move forward. That's the key right there. So as far as trying to get people to be aware, because once they become aware, I think that's what's going to be the ingredient they need to change their life. That's going to be the tough part, because like you said, you know, they look at a lot of the stuff like it's corny. And I just hope that, like, man, when people listening to this podcast, they take two guys, normal dudes, you know what I'm saying? And we decide to do something different and be ourselves. So, man, congratulations to you. That's big time to take something like that.
I appreciate that, man.
That's big, bro. That's big time.
Thank you. And you know what? It's part of that is I always try to learn from everybody. I really try to learn something. It could be a homeless man on the street, and I'm like, "Yo, man, you okay?" Like, I just like a week ago, I saw a lady in the gas station. She asked me for She asked me for $2, and I said no. Actually, I was like, "No, not today." And I was pumping my gas, and I looked over at her, and I was just like, "Damn!" I was like, "She did ask for $2." Like, I really looked at myself like. I said to myself, like, you going to buy a beer, I know you got a brown bag in your hand. And I'm not that kind of guy. I swear I'm not that kind of guy. Like, But she really had a beer in her hand, and I was like, I know what you're gonna do with $2. And then I said to myself, like, you know what? I was pumping my gas, and I'm like, you know, like right there, I was judging her. Like, maybe if that fucking beer is gonna keep you warm, like, who am I to say that doesn't work? Like, you know, and I was really like, I tried to look at it as a learning experience. Like, am I judging her? Am I not giving her the benefit of the doubt? Like, I really had a moment to myself, and I actually stopped my gas pump early, and I was like, yo, just go get the change from inside. He'll give it to you. And I kept it moving, but I just really used that as like I have to learn something from this. I have to take something from this person in a positive direction. And it wasn't about the money, but it made me a couple dollars. It just made me like, don't fucking judge people, you know? And I really try to use that as the guide for my life. Like whatever person I bump into, or you say good morning to someone and they're like, they're having a bad day. I really learn like, all right, not everybody's having a great morning. Like not everybody wants to smile. Cool. And I move on. So I guess those antennas come from just being aware of what you have to give to people and what you have to offer. Like if I had it my way, and that's also what I liked about your podcast. You laughed a lot, and I laugh a lot too. Just so I really sit and
like, man, you know how many times I've heard that, man. I be cracking up, and that should be genuine too. Trust me.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if I had it my way, I would make everybody laugh. Like if I bumped into you, if wherever, I want to make you laugh, and that makes me feel good. And I move on. So I think having those antennas is just realizing like what you have, because like I said, it's only one you, what you have to offer the world and what you have to give to the next person that they could take with them and give to somebody else.
Right. And look, I have a question for you. So, you know, you always say that like you in the mindset of, you know, you always want to learn and that's me 1000%. I learned the best way to get ahead, the best way to move forward is to always have a student mindset. Like you said, whether I'm learning what to do, whether I'm learning what not to do, but I'm always learning something. I'm always open and willing to learn something. I did a podcast and I was just talking about so many times what prevent people from being a student, from learning, from moving forward is because they look at a lot of people as their peers. So, you know, a lot of guys that I went to high school with, if I try to, you know, kick flavor to them like this, they look like, man, that's just C. You know what I'm saying? That's my boy. And so they would be, you know, less hesitant to receive what I'm saying. You know, so why do you think that is? Why do you think people have this big homie mentality that keeps them from learning from others that in turn was just pretty much, you know, they can use whatever they learn. They can take a good experience, a bad experience. You know, whatever it is, they can take that and move forward. It's always going to move them forward. Why do you think some people just keep this we peers mentality, you can't tell me anything mentality, we're the same age, you know what I'm saying?
Arrogance.
My cousin. Oh, wow.
That's exactly my answer, arrogance. Because I can give you a personal example. My friend, who we know, it's unfortunate, it sucks, but I talk about it, but we don't speak. Because, like, for some strange reason, like, if I'd be like, yo, man, you got to do this, you got to do that, he'd look at me like, bro, who are you? And I'm like, I would always think, like, I don't think I'm better than anybody by any stretch, but I always think, like, look at our lives. Like, I'm not telling you anything wrong. I'm just saying, like, I think that you should try something new. But he would really look at it like, you know, like we're 5 days apart. He'd look at it like, I'm not trying to hear that shit from you. I think, and because I know myself, if someone early, like, you know, years ago, if someone said something to me, I'd be like, bro, who are you? It was from arrogance. So once I was able to, like, and I'm still an asshole, but I'm willing to learn, you know, and I think that's the difference. I'm not that arrogant anymore where I feel like nobody could tell me anything. I think that when you see your friend who you grew up together, and you went to the same school, you talk to the same girls, and you were on the same football teams or do whatever, and you say, yo, man, I heard you're looking for a job. You should try UPS. Or if he's like trying to apply, I want to work for FedEx. And you're like, why don't you try UPS or DHL? And he's like, yo, I got it. I think that just comes from arrogance. Like, because if we're friends, and maybe this will just answer your question, but if we're friends and you suggest something to me, I should never expect that comes from a bad place where I don't want to listen to you. So,
Oh
so the
man.
only thing that would, and if you don't have my best interest, and I know that, we wouldn't be friends. So the only thing the only thing that comes to my head when you ask me a question like that is, why wouldn't you listen to a friend who is trying to give you advice? Is arrogance. Because I know these people, and I'm sure you know your friends. They're not stupid.
Right.
I don't talk to stupid people. So the only thing left for me, by process of elimination, is arrogance.
You make a great point, because that has to be it. Arrogance. Yep,
Sure.
that has to be it.
And maybe when we
I can
listen to
definitely
this,
see that.
when we listen to this later on, when it comes out Monday, and everyone's subscribed to the I Say That to Say This podcast and the Can You Relate podcast, when you go hit that button and you download all the episodes, make sure you download all the episodes. Maybe we'll think of something else by then. But for now, that's definitely
Arrogance, man. Arrogance. Damn, man. That's a great point. That's a great point, bro. Big time.
And one thing I want to ask you also before we get out of here, before we wrap this thing up, because we talked about people, not listening to people, and sometimes they put the earmuffs on, they don't want to hear anything. The other end of that, as a podcaster, okay. I'm sure you listen to other podcasts, you listen to radio. We all have our
absolutely,
whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you block that out? Because I find myself trying to not listen to, like, when I listen to a podcast and they start giving opinions, I zone out for a second, because I don't want it to influence what I do as far as creatively. I like the subjects they talk about, and I like those ideas, and sometimes it helps me brainstorm. But it's sometimes I'll hear, like, I listen to Charlemagne's podcast and I'll say something and I'm like, wow, that's a good point. And when someone asks me a question to do with that, I'll find myself like almost wanting to say, I'll think of his words, and I hate that. Like, I really try to give myself and not just regurgitate what I heard someone else say. Like, do you find that hard also, because there's all this social media and just shit around us?
You know what? Honestly, I don't find it hard for myself. I think that's because, like, I'm just so really hell bent on just being me. You know, one of the things, like I told you, when I finally got comfortable and I started realizing, like, okay, I don't have to be perfect or anything. Once I really got that, man, it was just like every chance I get, because I dedicated so many years, every chance I get, I'm just going to be me. So I'll take what someone is saying, or like what someone make a great point, and I'll like really like dissect it and like think about it. Like, okay, I see who's coming from. This sounds good. That sounds good. But at the end of the day, I take little bits and pieces, but I always just try to make everything my own, make everything just relate to me. So if someone asks me something, what you're going to get my version of it, what I feel is the good, or what I feel, the direction that it should go. Yeah. So I just like really just lock in on that all the time. So yeah, I don't really find that to be a challenge too much. What about you?
I mean, it's because of my mentality and me just trying to learn and take in information that sometimes I feel like I take in too much. Like, sometimes I think things and I'm like, why does he feel that way? And I find myself trying to figure some shit out that it could be a whole backstory it's just, I guess it's just me trying to take in it all. And sometimes I got to know when to ease off the gas a little bit and cool it down. And cause it's always my opinion. It's always my creativeness, but I don't want to always, and I like to learn, like you. I like to learn talking to you personally from personal experience. That helps me learn. So when I watch like complex news or listen to Power 105 and I hear things, I try to learn from their craft, but then I feel like sometimes it's like a very fine line between like, nah, I don't want to do what they do. I don't want to say what they say. I like things. So I guess it's just my personality, I guess. I just got to turn it down a little bit. But, yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I completely get what you're saying, though, man. But, yeah, and then I just wanted to ask you one more thing myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you find to be the biggest, like, if you had to give like a piece of advice to like one person, like, what do you feel like is the deciding factor? Because let me just say this: some people feel like it should be action. Others might feel like, it should be more spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Some people feel like, you should just like almost like just pray your way to success. Which one would you tell someone if they was just starting out and they look to you for advice?
See, I'm not a religious man, but I'm spiritual, So I
Okay.
feel like praying your way is not and this is just personal. Praying your way to thing doesn't do it. Because I prayed for things and they didn't come. And I was actually more thankful later on that that my prayers weren't answered.
Yeah.
A girl doesn't call you and you're like, please let her call, please. And she doesn't call. Like, damn, you don't want to shoot first. You don't want to, those things. And you're like, and then, or a job, you're like, please let them call me back. Please let them call me back. I know I messed up on the interview, but please. And you wind up something better coming along. So me personally, my advice is always learning yourself. I think if people learn their strengths, like if like, all right, I'm a procrastinator. Praying ain't going to get it. You're not going to sit here and be like, all right, tomorrow I'm telling you, Lord, just give me the strength. I'm going to get this done. It's not going to happen that way. I think when you know yourself, because I know myself, I'm a fucking procrastinator. I know like, all right, just do it. Once you train yourself to know your weaknesses, that is the best thing. Because when they could ask me for advice, I don't know. I don't spend all day with you. Like someone's like, oh, I want to do music. I want to do this. Where should I start? I don't spend all day with you. I don't know if it's easier for you to go to a studio and record. I don't know if you should set up a microphone in a bathroom. I don't know if you should hire someone and download one of these fucking apps and use that. I don't know that. What I would say is learn yourself. Like know where you're lacking and really focus in on trying to minimize that. Because everyone knows their strengths. Everyone knows what they're good at. Minimize, or if you don't know what you're good at, if you minimize your weaknesses, then it'll come to you. So it's not necessarily it's action, but it's like reverse engineering your success. You know what I mean? Figure out what you want, figure out what you're doing. Don't figure out how to get it, it's gonna come. Figure out how you're stopping yourself. And that's what I'd say my 2 cents on that would be.
Hey, that definitely, you echo on everything I talk about. I wanted to ask that question because, I feel like you're someone that's doing something. So you truly understand the importance of taking action, man. And for me, that has been the deciding factor. So I'm not like big time religious, like you mentioned. I'm definitely spiritual,
Sure.
But the action, taking action, that grind, that decision to send that email, that decision to start. When I started King Relay Podcast, I'm telling you, man, I was like, I'm going to do the easiest thing. I'm just going to create chriswpodcast@gmail.com. That's it, bro. And I was so excited because I just put something that had podcast on the end. I was so geeked about it. But it was just the action, man. It was just the action. I took that first step. And that first step just turned into so many more steps. And then, now I'm just, you just taking off. You just keep going and going and going. And for me, what I would tell someone is whatever it is that you want to do, I don't care. Take the first step, do the research, look it up, whatever you have to do that. But you just cannot sit still and hope and pray and wish for it. Nothing's going to happen, man. Like I was just saying earlier, the person that wins the lottery, bro, they took action to go play the ticket. You feel what I'm saying?
Very true.
So they just didn't just sit there and just hope and pray for it and just like they lift up their pillow and there was the winning lottery ticket. Like they had to get their ass up and go play them numbers. So action, man. Whoever is hearing this, man, action. Whatever it is, do it. You can do whatever it is you want to do.
And you know what? Also, to piggyback off that, when people can't figure out those things, Google it. I find people, I'm not kidding. I can't even tell you how many people in one day ask me a question that I'm like, fucking Google it. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, man.
Right. Well, how can I do that? Like, we Google anything else. If I see fucking Chingy come across my timeline, I'm like, I haven't seen him in a while. I Google Chingy net worth and it takes me 2 seconds just to see where he's at. But then when people have these weird ideas, like, oh, damn, I want to start my own chapstick line. Can never figure that out. Fucking Google how to start a makeup line or whatever it is. And those small actions, like you said, of just starting an email address, just starting that small thing is going to build great momentum. And I 100% agree. Action is key.
Action is key, man. That's the key to it right there, brother. Big time.
Hey, man, I could definitely relate to everything you said. And I don't know. I don't even know what made me message you, but I just felt your energy was good. I'm like, yo, I gotta do a podcast with this dude. You know what I mean?
Oh, my man. Oh, no, seriously. Man. I appreciate that big time, bro.
You definitely have a positive message, man. And I appreciate you coming on the show. And one thing I'll say to you, personally, from me to you, is always keep laughing and keep inspiring people, because you inspire me. Yeah, you know, like just hearing you have a good time, I'm like, all right. You know, like,
oh my man,
okay,
that's 100 right.
When you surround yourself with other positive people, and we talked about that, it does make it better. Like, you're like, all right, someone else gets it. Okay, I'm not in this alone, right. and that inspires me to just be like, you know what, fuck it. We got to still spread the positive. As much as you think nobody's listening, you got to still spread the positive message.
I'm telling you, man. And like I said, I truly appreciate you reaching out to me, man, because, I'm always preaching small wins, small wins, small wins, small wins. Eventually, what you're doing, you will reap benefits to that, man. And just me grinding. You know what? You wouldn't have asked me, brother, to be on your podcast if you wouldn't have come across my podcast. You understand what I'm saying? So put them seeds out into the universe, whatever it is you want to do. Put that shit out there, man, and let your actions be the water that you pour on there and allows it to grow. I'm so thankful, Bo, big time, for you having me, man. This is huge. Absolutely. I get to tell my Can You Relate community about this, man. Like, no doubt. Real, this is huge, man. Thank you for giving me that shot. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
I'm truly grateful.
Good talking to you, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Oh, man, let's do it again anytime, brother. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Take care, man. Listeners, whatever you're listening on, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go rate this. So if you're in the iTunes store, go ahead. If you feel like I deserve 1 star, go for it. But if you enjoy what you heard, go ahead and give that 5 stars. And if you're on anything else, like this and share it with somebody who you think needs to hear it.